Keep talking.
So Facebook released or announced some beta availability for the Horizons meeting room on Oculus.
Hmm. I thought they
Um,
already had that.
did they? I don't know how widely available it is, but I actually listened to a podcast with where they're like we're probably one of the few people that actually tried this software because for an actual business meeting and not just as a demo, like they actually held a and even though it was uncomfortable and awkward, they did mention that it did feel like a live business meeting.
Did they talk about why it was unnatural or uncomfortable?
Yeah, it's just like I guess the unnatural or uncomfortable is just as like connection issues like in like beta software, just the hassle of setting it up, and obviously you have to wear this huge like VR set for like hours on end if you're doing an actual meeting. But they also mentioned that like they get intense headaches after these meetings.
Interesting.
And it may be due to because like the resolution when you're reading text isn't great. So if you're reading, like if you're in a meeting and you're like doing stuff, right? You obviously have documents and you're reading through a lot of documents. It's just gonna start hurting your eyes.
That's interesting. Because I know that they've tried like having multiple monitors. You can do like you can hook up your computer, and I've done this myself where I've hooked up my computer, and you log into your computer, and your screens show up in the metaverse. So now you can have, instead of having like 3 screens, you can have 6, 8, like, and you can just place them in different locations. You can resize them, whatever you want, and that's pretty cool.
How good the resolution, like the whole reading thing, like what's that?
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Is like it was fairly fine when it came to that. Like,
were you working on it for a long time?
No, it was just literally just trying it out. If I did it for longer than like 20 minutes, I would probably start getting headaches as well.
Yeah, I can see that because it's just like I think even when you do like VR games, like the text that shows up is massive.
Yeah.
Right, and it's not a long block of text. It's like just a few, at best, a paragraph.
Yeah. I think even in general, like when this whole thing started, I'm still for VR in general, right? But I think they have a big hurdle, which is your eyes. The screen's like right here. And we have always been talking about how when kids are sitting in front of a screen, to move the screens further away, like TVs and things like that. And now even our computer screens, they're fairly close relative to like what we've been told before. But I think this is a long enough distance where it doesn't actually, we're able to deal with it. But this is a new concept, like the screen being right here. And so I'm just wondering 2 things. How can they fix that problem? And how much of an effect it actually has on your eyes?
I'm glad you brought that up, Colwinder.
Okay.
They also these 2 guys also talked about rumors about Apple's VR headset and how it's going to be massively expensive and it's like it's going to be focused. It's not going to be focused on gaming at all. Right? Like they're just releasing the headset. There's no controller. There's no whatever. I think they mentioned that like it's mainly just from the rumors. It's mainly going to be like for business meetings or just social stuff. So it's like a $3,000 FaceTime machine. Yeah. But it's supposed to be a lot more comfortable. But the big thing is that each screen for your eyes is going to be 8K.
Oh my God. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's a lot. And that whatever's powering it is whatever like the MacBook laptop CPUs are going to be, because those are full, like they're actually very powerful CPUs.
Yeah.
And I can see them running like an M1 Max. If you put it into like that kind of headset, it can probably do VR.
Yeah, 100%. I think they'll be able to.
What's running the VR headsets right now? Isn't it like the computer? The computer itself is running the VR.
Depends.
That's weird.
Like for an Oculus, I think it's all on device. If you do in like an HTC what is it, Vive? I think your GPU is doing the VR stuff.
On the Oculus one, what, it's got better processors than the M1 Max?
No.
Better
And them,
CPU?
no, it's not. It doesn't. But that's why Apple's device is going to be more expensive. An Oculus, like, I guess what the top of the line Oculus is like maybe 1,500, 1,000,
Yeah,
1,000 for
1,000.
like a top of the line Oculus, like not the Quest VR or whatever.
Oh, yeah. It probably, yeah, you're right. Probably 1,500.
Yeah, whatever they market it towards like actual business or professional use. But Apple's one is going to be like doubled. Well,
Yeah.
rumors being double the price.
That's insane. That is insane. I know that they were like Quest is releasing another version, and that new version is lighter and like more powerful, and that is at the order of like $1,000, probably a bit more than that. So that might be the one we're talking about. I wonder how it actually kind of plays in with the Apple, like how it relates, right? I think if there was any competition and we needed this in our workplaces, people would go towards a Facebook one rather than paying $3,000 for the Apple one. It doesn't make any sense to do that.
People said that about the iPhone, dude.
Maybe, but if you think about it, look at the market share of like Android versus Apple. I think Android.
It's not about. I mean, sure, in terms of total numbers, but it's not about market share. Who's actually profitable, and that's Apple.
Sure. That's fair. They'll make more on the high ticket items, right? But
and it's also the market share worldwide. Yeah, Android has it, but I think in the States it's actually like 70-30 iPhone. Yeah.
Really?
Ali, double check me on this.
Yeah,
I don't know. Ali,
When you're in the Texas hoods, what are people rocking?
I don't know what.
But that's also concentrated of like wealth, right? like tell me what people in Austin are like go down to Detroit. I don't think they have many.
No, I'm pretty sure it's like
it's 55% iOS.
Yeah. Okay. There we go.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is surprising to me. That is very surprising. But like, it's like, does it include the latest iPhone? Does it include all the, but fair enough.
It's a mobile operating system.
Yeah.
iOS versus.
Wow. No, that's impressive. I did not know that. I don't know how they.
And it's I think close to 50-50. I think Android does top out in Canada, but I do think it's closer to 50-50.
This is North America. I don't even know. America.
Where are you getting these numbers? I don't know. I don't trust these numbers. Because what I'm thinking, right?
Trust me, bro.
Like, even if they're winning on the iOS game, the issue is that consumers make decisions a lot based on just emotion and they want something, right? With a business, you have to think about the bottom line, right? And so you're thinking, am I going to buy 5 of these to make this like work? Because you're going to need, if only one person's on it, it doesn't make sense. So you need to buy a couple. And so
the ones buying it, it's just a business expense anyways.
Yeah, I think
there's still a cost.
The goal from Apple's perspective is that like making a consumer device with VR right now is very hard to hit those kind of like not only is it hard to make a good product with that kind of margin, it's like not even with a lower cost, no one's going to buy it. So let's make a premium product where people will actually want to use it, even if it's less people, so that there is an initial interest in making this cheaper. Right.
And my argument is the product going to be 100 times better? Then sure. Is it going to be like 10-15% better?
Okay, but think MacBooks,
like, what is
like the iPhone is maybe okay. Sure, maybe you're saying the VR thing will be more like business related. Okay, so
that's what Apple's targeting.
Okay, so MacBooks, what a lot of companies get like deploy MacBooks.
Yep.
Yeah.
When they can get the same value.
Yeah, but a lot of companies use Windows and Linux. right? Like
Yeah.
majority of the business world is powered by Windows and Linux. It's not
Depends.
powered by like only developers use like Macs. Go to any other shop that like is doing normal administrative stuff. They have Office suites and they have Windows, right? They're not using Macs. Like it's just we're in our bubble where the design space as well as developer space is sure the creative industry is using Macs. But if you go to like, I don't know, a company that's doing insurance, they're not using Macs.
Yeah, but is an insurance company going to be the one that's using a VR headset?
Yeah, fair enough.
Or are they going to, or is the design studio going to be the one that's using a design studio and architecture, like, an architect? Are they going to be the ones that see the value in having a premium VR device?
Yeah, that's fair. That's a fair argument. I just don't see it being as adopted. Like Macs, they have a consumer play to it as well, right? Like there's a bunch of people. Like for example, my wife, she's not in the design space. She's an RT by trade, but she loves Macs. She'll use Macs and she'll only use Macs, right? And she feels more comfortable using a Mac. She's not tech savvy, right? That's not her domain, but she finds it easy to use, etc. Whereas with a business use case, it does matter on how much value they can retrieve from it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so with a Mac, it's like they're making money on that from like both consumer bases as well as business. And I think with a business use case, if people are like, we can get 80% of the value from a Quest, then they're probably going to go with a Quest.
That's if they're like, I think you also have to constrain it to the fact that which businesses right now would be interested in getting a VR headset for business uses.
Yeah.
And outside of the creative space, I don't see like a regular like Dell or what's another boring company like IBM wanting to use like VR headset outside of just some novelty project, right?
Yeah.
But for an actual serious, but like I can see it just being marketed towards designers, I guess developers, architects, maybe photographers.
And that's I guess then it comes down to that one single question. It's like, what's the difference? It is the cost of it being what? How much is it? 4K you said?
3K.
3K, okay.
3K American.
Okay, 3K American. So if it's like, let's say the Quest one is $1,000.
iMessage.
Sorry?
iMessage and FaceTime.
Don't hate me, but I do think FaceTime is better than WhatsApp video.
Probably. I'm not even going to argue that. Like WhatsApp videos, I don't know what they're using, but I think most of WhatsApp was based off of XMPP, which is a open kind of protocol, but they've obviously made some extensive changes to be able to adopt other things. But FaceTime is probably written from scratch. Who knows? But yeah, my point being is like that 2K extra, if it brings like even a tenfold increase in terms of performance, then I would understand it.
But
for sure.
Wait, are we going back to businesses or okay? The businesses that buy Macs, that deploy Macs, can they not get 80% of the value with Windows?
They can.
Potentially. You know why I think it's harder? Because there's more tooling on a Linux-based machine for developers, right? And
like we're designed. We're Macs.
Say that again.
No need for us to be on Macs.
Yeah, and
why? I don't know. It's a Mac.
It's a better machine to use. I agree. Like I disagreed for a long time, but MacBooks,
it's a better machine to use for that industry. That's exactly my point.
In general computing, I would rather the only reason I have a Windows desktop these days is just for gaming. That's literally the only reason it's used. If I'm doing any kind of development, it is on my laptop. just because
Okay.
it's a better machine
So-
to use. I can do the same.
We're cornering Kawinder today, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah, I know, right?
He's the only-
The red guy.
I'll fight
This
back.
was
I'm
set up.
against the wall. I'm just gonna, you know, like.
This was a setup to get Turan distracted and just convince Kawinder to switch to Mac today, and then
Yeah, I know, right?
It's gonna happen one
Um,
of these days.
Maybe we'll see. I fought. What is the word? Valiantly for
Yeah.
10 years longer. But my point is like you said laptop specifically. Would you get a Mac like desktop mode?
Yeah, it's a Mac Mini. Honestly, if I didn't have a desktop, I would get the Mac Mini. Actually,
Okay.
for desktop use, no, because again, my desktop is for gaming.
why get
Okay.
a desktop when you can get a laptop?
So just more
Performance?
powerful relatively, yeah. Like
Yeah.
my desktop has like I think 3 gigahertz Core i7 with a decent GPU and 64 gigs of memory, right? And like a terabyte of hard drive. I'm sure you get space. Space is not really a concern, but like 64 gigs on a Mac laptop that's like thin, that's going to cost me the orders of like 3-4K.
More than that, I think
Okay.
It's for
for
gaming.
that, that's a 16-inch MacBook Pro with the M1 Ultra. I don't know what they're
Mhm.
called,
Yeah.
but
And so
that
it's going to
chip,
be like 5-6K.
yeah, it's going to
Yeah.
be expensive.
So my machine costs like a third of that.
Yeah.
To make. And so it's like and my performance is better. Like my performance is equal. So I'm getting equivalent performance for the third of the price, right?
I think
And-
what you're missing is you're also buying a laptop versus a desktop.
Sure.
Like
Fair enough.
if a
Fair
fair
enough.
comparison would be the Mac
Yeah.
Mini.
Okay,
which
so let's
is-
compare those.
This is how big the Mac Mini is. I don't know if you can see both my hands. It's that big
Yeah.
versus your desktop. Like my desktop is like this big.
Yeah, sure, but you're not moving it. Who gives a shit?
I do move it often enough that I have a bag for it.
Oh shit, okay.
I don't
So
know.
you-
Man.
Fair enough. I don't like my machine is going to stay in one single place, right? But you're right. Let's compare apples to apples. And so it's like the Mac Mini would cost probably the same kind of comparison. And I think it comes down to like because you know that for relative cost, I'm going to get equivalent performance for a cheaper cost in Windows Arena, right? Does that make sense? Like just a normal desktop.
I think with these like the M class chips, I think it's a case by case comparisons. When it comes to laptops, given relative budgets, I would always go for the equivalent MacBook. Just because I think as a developer and as I guess a serious user of a laptop, like those laptops are way better and I would actually get more use relative to the cost of a Windows laptop. When it comes to desktops, I think it's a case by case basis. Like your average person is not going to go out and get like a 64 gig spec'd out
Right.
desktop, right? They'll probably
Right.
get like a baseline Mac, which
Mhm.
honestly for most people's usage, like a Mac Mini will do the job, and that's $600 for the entire computer, including storage, including RAM, including CPU, in the size of a takeout box. Like that's
Right.
hard to beat. On
Yeah.
on the Windows end, like you can get mini PCs. They're about the same cost as the Mac Mini, but they won't perform as well.
I don't know. I'm not going to say yes or no to that one because I don't know. I haven't researched it, so I'll believe you on that one. But my thing is like I'm going to do it in my case for Windows in general. I don't see like when I've used Macs, the benefit I get is the fact that it's a Linux based machine for me as a developer, right? And most people don't, as businesses, they won't buy Linux machines, right? So they'll offer Windows or they'll offer Macs, right? And I don't see a difference in development speed really relative to people who use Macs and to Windows. Maybe perhaps a little bit because of the Linux based.
It's not about speed. I think it's about developer ergonomics, right? Like, I think on Reddit I was reading that like Macs are the best all around laptop or best all around. Like they don't excel. I mean, I guess maybe in battery life they do excel, but outside of that, they're good at everything else. They have a great keyboard. They have a great screen. I already talked about battery life. What else? The build quality is actually solid. So it's all these things that make it a nice laptop to use.
Fair enough. I don't know what original question we were trying to ask.
We were talking about Apple VR and like it would be businesses pay the $3K.
Right,
and
right.
I think the same reasons do apply for a business case. Like if their device is lighter, easier to use, is less strain on your eye, I think for people that are serious about having some business use case in the metaverse, it does make sense to spend that extra bit on the Apple device.
Right. So that was a core point. And I would say I still disagree with that. So it's like, for example, I don't think my company has gotten less productivity in the order of like a third or 60% in terms of the cost of the laptop they're going to buy from me owning a Windows laptop versus a Mac laptop. That's what I'm saying.
Your whole team's Mac except you?
No, a couple of people have Macs, and most people have Windows on our.
So what were you saying about the productivity thing? Like,
as in, like I don't think they got they lost out on 60% of productivity relative to the cost. I can't say that definitively, but I'm pretty sure they wouldn't have gotten more productivity.
How about happiness?
Happiness is.
I'm pretty happy with Windows. Look at me, I'm happy right now. Do you not see this face on this like crying? So I don't know. You're right. Like maybe there are some people on our team that were like, "Oh, we want Macs," because they use Macs at home as well. That was their main default machine, and that's why. But everybody who was on Windows didn't and used to use Windows didn't really push for it, and I don't think there makes a difference. For our team, at least, like I haven't seen that. Yeah.